All right, I'm gonna start with a sad story. CFMOTO. I have to at this point recommend not buying CFMOTO products. I really want to. I really want to say they're awesome. 2023 950 ZFORCE Trail, beast, love it. However, I bought it end of February. I don't think I rode it till April because I live in Minnesota. Nothing really open. I'm just kind of showing you. Here's my blank garage where that thing usually sits, right next to my two motorcycles. If you haven't seen those videos, check those out. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. I bought the ZFORCE. I brought it home. I put it in the garage. Bought a windshield for it. Bought a couple of other accessories for it. Got that stuff all taken care of. Went to drive it around the block the very first time. I go out of my driveway, which is, 30 feet long. I take a right-hand turn. I go down the hill in low gear. Just going to go around the block, make sure it runs down the road. That hill is 50 feet long. Jumped out of low gear on me, grinding gears. So I stop the car, put it in high. I go around the block. I park it. A week later goes by. I don't think that much of it. I think, oh, what did I do, right? I go to pull it onto my trailer, which has a ramp. It's a camper trailer with toy hauler. I pull it up into there. I get out. I walk down the ramp, and there's a green trail behind me. It doesn't even have 2 miles on it. So I look underneath. I'm leaking coolant. So I called the dealer. I said, hey, this thing's brand new. It's got like 2 miles on it. Jumped out of low gear. Well, you got to make sure you get it into gear right. I'm like, well, it's a shifter. There isn't really a get it into gear right kind of thing. It's in gear. I don't know what else you want me to do. And it's leaking coolant. Well, the coolant, you need like 5 to 10 heat cycles. So, well, it's leaking coolant. I don't know what a heat cycle has to do with it. If it was leaking coolant from the factory, it's leaking coolant from the factory. Oh, yeah, that's pretty common for those. So, okay. So I take it riding. I take it riding again. I get about 250, 300 miles on it. I take it to the dealer. I really apologize for this blank screen. If you want, I can pull some covers off the Royals for you so you got something to look at. I take it in, I go, we got to fix this thing. It jumped out of gear 2 other times, so we're at 3 times now in 250 miles. Oh, it's got to be something you're doing wrong. We haven't seen that yet. Oh, okay. We'll fix it, and then there's the coolant leak. While you're here, you might as well do the first service, change out the oil. So I, of course, come back and say there's nothing wrong with it. Couldn't get it to do anything. Just have to keep driving it like that. Okay. That's what I figured. You took my money, but you didn't fix what the problem was. It was there for a problem, didn't fix it. That is CFMOTO in Hutchinson, Minnesota. It's a Yamaha and CFMOTO dealer. Thank you, guys. That was great service. Hutchinson, Yamaha Motorsports. That's the start of why I don't have a CFMOTO in here. So then I decide I'm going to put a couple hundred miles on it. I just won't drive it in low. It drives fine in high gear. But when you're driving around campsites and stuff with it, it's not all that fantastic. So I get about 500 miles on it. It jumped out. I put it in low a couple more times, jumped out a couple more times. So I took it to Power Lodge here in Minnesota. Apparently they are the 3rd largest CFMOTO dealership in America. They've been okay. The people are okay. But my ZFORCE has been at the dealership since September 12th. We're coming up on January 12th, so we're working into our 5th month. So I take it there, I say coolant's leaking all over the place while you're here. It's jumping out of gear. Oh, wait, hang on. I went there first because it was jumping out of gear. They put a cable in it. That took 2 weeks. So we've seen that a bunch of times. We put cables in them. That always takes care of it. So I said, okay. They put a cable in. I took it up north from there. Drove it around the woods a little bit, put it neutral or low gear a bunch of times, and seemed fine. Wake up the next morning, go to back it out, just straight back, no hill, just straight back on flat ground. And I go to put it in drive again to get out of the campground, and the transmission's stuck. It won't shift out of gear. I tried for like 5 minutes. I don't want to force anything. I don't want to break anything. So I turn it off, wait a couple of minutes, and then it comes out of gear. No idea why I did it by turning it off. I don't think there's anything electronic in there. Seems like it's all manual stuff, nothing electronic, but I could be wrong. So I take it back to him and I say, hey, it worked great for one day, and then the transmission sticks and it won't come out of gear. And it's not all the time, it's just some of the time. So they, okay, we'll look at it. Oh yeah, and it's leaking coolant all over. So let's look at that again. Yep, it's leaking coolant, you need a water pump. So put a water pump in it. They call me back. Well, I have to call back. Every single time I have to call back. I have yet to be called by them except one single time in 4 months. He said, you're authorized to get your motor done by CFMOTO, so we're going to start working on it. Okay. So they put the water pump in. Water pump's still leaking. Got to order another gasket. Put the gasket in. Water pump's still leaking. Okay. So we got to order another gasket. I said, has he driven it yet to see if it's jumping out of gear or what? And he goes, yeah, he did that, and he could get the transmission to stick. So we're in contact with CFMOTO to find out what they want to do as far as pulling the motor all apart, because you got to go pretty much apart. So finally they authorize that. This is all within the 3 months. So I go up there and look at it. There's, I don't know, 300 or 400 pieces of motor with an empty shell next to it, all out on a table. I say, well, that's never going to go back together correctly. Why don't they authorize, rather than doing this, why don't they authorize putting a motor in it? Because you know you're going to put the water pump leak, and it's going to leak again because you've done it 3 times. And you know that thing's not going back together, and you're going to run out of my warranty, and I'm going to have no warranty with a car with 500 miles on it because you've had it the entire time. So finally they get the authorization to get the gears and the shift levers put in. We'll see how that goes. So they get to work. I go up a week and a half ago. The motor's in, but one of the screws is bad for the exhaust, so we got to wait for that. Okay. And then we can drive it and see what the transmission does. Okay. So I went up there today. And I said, hey, just checking on the ZFORCE, because clearly they don't call me back. So I drive up there. It's about 20 miles, 15 miles or something. Not a huge deal, but I'm willing. And I say, checking on the ZFORCE. And they say, oh, it needs a head gasket. One of the head gaskets they were putting in was bad. So we're just waiting on that. It looks like it's discontinued or on back order. So we don't know if we can get one from another dealer or not. I said, all right, so we're working on 5 months. Who do we need to talk to about CFMOTO buying his car back? You've had it almost the entire life I've had it. Still not fixed yet. Still going to have to pull motor. Still going to have to do more shit. And then you still got to drive it and see if it's even fixed. CFMOTO needs to buy this back. Well, you need to call CFMOTO. I said, I called CFMOTO because your guy said call CFMOTO. CFMOTO says we do not have customer service. You have to go through the dealership you're going through. We don't have anybody or any email you can email to contact to have any contact with CFMOTO themselves. Everything goes through the dealership. I said, well, I've never heard of a company your size with 0 customer service contact. 0. You're telling me nobody calls you. Like, I have a significant problem, and you're telling me I can't talk to CFMOTO about it. Yep, you have to talk to your dealer. Well, when you talk to the dealer, they're like, well, just call CFMOTO. They got a 1-800 number. No, they don't. They do not have a 1-800 number. So, with that said, I'm going to start writing letters all the way up, I don't know, Better Business, NHTSA, I suppose. I don't know what that matters. I'll obviously write CFMOTO something, send one to the dealership, send one to my other dealership who did jack shit for me originally. And we'll go from there. at this point, 500 miles on a $15,000 car, I can't say you should buy a CFMOTO product. Maybe this is why they don't sell product. Maybe they discount them so far because they can't sell them otherwise and they can't be trusted. I watched MSC's video about going overseas and looking at their factory and stuff. Looks freaking amazing. Looks top shelf. Everything's up to date. You'd think these guys would have their shit together. But apparently we don't. So, with that said, I'll keep in contact. I'll throw a picture up. It's going to say, do not buy CFMOTO products. And I'll put a picture of my motor, what it looks like across the table. That'll be the headline picture for this video. So, you guys have a great day. If you buy a CFMOTO, just say, you've been warned. And I'm not just crabbing. It's been 5 months. Thank you.